Welcome to FactSphere 86, your channel for unraveling history's greatest enigmas. Today, we re-diving into a question that has puzzled scholars for centuries. If the biblical figure Moses was a real person, where is the evidence? The Bible paints a dramatic picture: devastating plagues upon Egypt, the miraculous parting of the Red Sea, and a mass exodus of hundreds of thousands of Israelite slaves. These are monumental events. Yet, despite decades of searching, archaeologists have never unearthed direct, undeniable proof. There are no ancient Egyptian records that mention a series of catastrophic plagues, no mention of an Israelite prince named Moses, and no artifacts left behind by a massive population wandering the Sinai desert for 40 years. So, does this silence from the historical record mean the story of Moses is nothing more than a powerful myth? Well, it's not quite that simple. We need to consider the context. Ancient civilizations, especially a powerhouse like Egypt, were experts at public relations. They meticulously recorded their victories and the glories of their pharaohs. They were far less likely to document humiliating defeats, national disasters, or the successful escape of their entire slave labor force. It would be like a modern country building a monument to its biggest military failure. It just didn't happen. The absence of an Egyptian account isn't necessarily proof that it didn't occur, but rather proof of how they controlled their historical narrative. But that doesn't mean there are no clues at all. We do have fragments of evidence that align with the background of the Exodus story. For instance, we have archaeological finds confirming the presence of Semitic-speaking people living in Egypt, some of whom were indeed held as slaves or laborers. There are even ancient Egyptian documents, like the papyrus Anastasi V, which mention runaway slaves fleeing into the desert, with Egyptian patrols sent to pursue them. While this isn't a direct link to the Exodus, it shows that the idea of slaves escaping Egypt was a known reality. Perhaps the most compelling piece of indirect evidence is the Merneptah stele. This incredible artifact, a granite slab from the 13th century BC, recounts the military victories of Pharaoh Merneptah. On it, among a list of defeated peoples in the land of Canaan, is the line, "Israel is laid waste, its seed is no more." This is the earliest known non-biblical reference to a people called Israel existing in that region. For them to be established enough to be mentioned by a pharaoh, they had to have arrived there somehow, and the timing aligns remarkably well with the traditional time frame of the Exodus. So what can we conclude from all this? The story of Moses as told in Scripture, with all its grand miracles, might not be a literal, journalistic account. It is possible the historical core of the story, perhaps a smaller group of Semitic slaves escaping Egypt under a charismatic